Over the weekend, Elon Musk decided to go to war with the entire British political establishment. Almost all of it. All at once. And to be honest with you, about time. It's about time someone was trying to hold these people to account. And so I thought we'd look into what Elon Musk has been saying and why he's saying it. Why is this something that's a bee in his bonnet? Why is he so bothered about this? Because this, I think, does speak to a long-running problem with the British political system, which is, frankly, its innate classism and the willingness for people in the upper strata of this class system to not care about what's happening to the people at the bottom. Now, as you can see, he's just being very forthright in his language, speaking about how actually there's been quite a terrible series of crimes that have happened to the English working class in Britain, and it was just covered up by the establishment for years. Now, that's not really in contention. Everyone knows that there was a cover-up. There's tons and tons of evidence of it, as we'll cover on the podcast later today. And it's not a series of failures, as Mario here has pointed out. Elon is correct. The people who allowed this, who permitted this to happen, are in fact still in power. And so Elon decided to just rip into them using his 200 million follower platform on Twitter. And I can only imagine what the tension was like in the Starmer bunker when Elon decided to let rip. He retweeted Liz Truss here, this particular post, saying the BBC needs to be defunded. Why? Because they were part of the cover-up too. They were the ones downplaying this. Channel 4 is the same. In fact, Channel 4 are producing a documentary about the one girl they've found who lied about being a victim of the grooming gang. So, okay, one girl has lied, but why make a big song and dance about that when you've got thousands and thousands of girls who aren't lying and who are victims? Well, the whole point is to put the impression in people's minds that in fact maybe many of these girls are lying. If this girl's lying, maybe many of them are lying, which of course they're not. Anyway, he carried on his crusade against, well, the Labour Party, frankly, being like, I mean, that's a hell of a strong statement against Jess Phillips. I'm not saying that. I don't even endorse that. That's too strong, I think. But I'm not going to say it's not interesting to see the fireworks. He carried on with Starmer. I mean, Starmer was, of course, the Director of Public Prosecutions in 2008 under Gordon Brown, when the alleged circular went around saying, well, these girls have made an informed choice to be sexually active with grooming gangs, and therefore don't investigate, let it go. And this was supposed to... I can't prove it, that's the thing. Like, I haven't got the direct evidence of the circular, and I've looked into it, I've looked for it. But Nafir Azal, I think this is how his name is pronounced, has been banging this drum for a while, and he's been saying, look, this was a thing that happened, and it explains why the police, in so many cases, when the parents went to them and said, look, these people are abusing my child, the police would say, no, they've made their informed choice. They've decided to become a part of it. And so, of course, Elon Musk is like, well, Starmer must go. He's a national embarrassment. And he is complicit in the crimes for making sure that Keir Starmer, as, again, the Director of Public Prosecutions, decided that not all child sex offenders should go to prison. It's like, interesting. And so Starmer is complicit in the crimes, and prison for Starmer, which, I mean, I just don't see happening, but I can see why he's come to this conclusion. Right, I can see why, because, I mean, this is in response to the Southport stabbing, the Southport massacre, in which 8 children were stabbed, 3 died, and for Keir Starmer, the problem was Islamophobia. That's completely true. Starmer came out and just instantly started criminalising the far right, which was the English working class who was, and again, the Labour voting, historically Labour voting, English working class, who were outraged, who feel threatened, who have been terrorised. And so Keir Starmer comes out and in their mind starts siding with the people that are victimising them. And so Elon Musk has gone prison for Starmer. And he's gone back. Gordon Brown. Yeah, Gordon Brown was part of all of this. Yeah, Gordon Brown sold these little girls for votes. That's totally true. That's totally true. The Labour Party at the time had the opinion. I mean, like, ask Harriet Harman what her opinion on this is. Like, she's been piping up, and it's like, but you supported the PEI or PIE. Go and Google that in your own time. I'm trying to keep this channel as clean as possible. But Google what that is in your own time, and you'll be like, oh, right, that explains why they thought that these 11 or 12-year-olds could choose to be part of these grooming gangs, actually. Anyway, so, yeah, disgrace. And then he started having a bit of a conflict with Nigel Farage. Now, Nigel Farage has in the past pointed out the grooming gang phenomenon and said, well, hang on, isn't this a bit of a problem? But recently, Nigel has been slightly soft on a bunch of the issues. For example, in this interview with Winston Marshall, he says, look, he doesn't say what Radio Genoa here says. Try to ignore the slop accounts as much as you can. But he was saying, look, we can't alienate the Muslim vote, not we must embrace Islam. But someone might then push back and say, okay, well, what's the difference? What's the difference? If you're going to not alienate the Muslim vote, you have to concede that Islam is valid and is something that is legitimate, right? And so it's not that you have to personally embrace Islam, but you have to accept that all of the Islamic demands are, well, acceptable, or else why would they vote for you? Why wouldn't they just vote for their own politicians in these enclaves that exist around the country? And of course, that's what they're doing. There are now 4 independent Muslim MPs who have been elected on a platform of pro-Gaza, again, a very Islamic issue. And so what's the difference? And if you don't, why wouldn't they just vote for someone who does? Again, like, we're very much... you can feel the sand shifting under their feet. And so Nigel Farage is like, well, we can't just alienate all of the Muslims in the country. It's like, well, I don't think that you're going to be able to capture those people for your vote demographic. I don't think they're going to be like, you know what, I'm voting for Nigel Farage. I think that's a fool's errand. And so Elon has been looking at this thinking, well, okay, this is a bit weak, right? This is a problem. And it means that Nigel Farage doesn't have what it takes to solve this. Because Nigel Farage's problem, fundamentally, is that he is not at war with the ruling class of this country. Where Donald Trump went to war, metaphorically, with the establishment, the rhinos and the Democrats in the United States. He drew up the force of the common people of that country and won everything. The executive, the House, the Senate, the judiciary, like the culture. Nigel Farage, Donald Trump won everything, and Nigel Farage doesn't have the mettle for it. And I think that Elon's probably right. And so Elon has just declared war on literally everything. I mean, the one thing he hasn't declared war on is the Conservatives, who are just as culpable for all of the grooming gang stuff. Their very light touch in dealing with it has been unacceptable. The only significant thing that really happened was Rishi Sunak, of all people, like locking up a bunch of the ringleaders. But the problem is these are gangs that pimp out their girls as slaves to members of their community. So there are tens of thousands of rapists, child rapists, wandering around Britain who are going completely scot-free, because arresting the ringleaders doesn't arrest all of the rapists. It just arrests the people who are providing the girls to be raped. It's like, sorry, is that acceptable? I think this needs to go a lot further, and I think Elon Musk thinks that too. And so when he's like, well, look, Farage doesn't have what it takes, yeah, I think that's probably true. Nigel isn't at war with all of these people. I don't think he has it in him to do that. Anyway. And so why is Elon Musk at war with everyone? Because, frankly, I'm trying not to laugh because it sounds ridiculous to say, when you learn about how awful the entire saga of the grooming gang scandal has been, from Labour being unbelievably perverse and selling these girls out for multiculturalism and diversity, the Conservatives being insanely weak, and Reform not banging the drum in the way that Elon is banging it, You can see why someone who is concerned about this would be very frustrated with the lack of political action on this in this country. You can see why he would. And it's not unreasonable, because Elon Musk, as someone in America, as someone very far away, doesn't recognise the significance of the British class system like we do. The reason that Nigel Farage doesn't like Tommy Robinson is because Tommy Robinson is low class. Nigel Farage wishes to be a higher class, and so he can't sully himself by... And he doesn't even need to... Like, I'm not saying bring Robinson into his party or anything, but he should speak honestly about the circumstance, and instead he toes the establishment line of essentially dismissing and condemning Tommy over the things that he's done. It's like, sure, okay, he's not perfect or anything like that. He's got a checkered history, but on this issue, he was completely correct. And I think the level of injustice that surrounds this issue means it's warranted to just overlook like he committed fraud in like 2008 or something. So, okay, did he go to jail? Yeah, he went to jail for that. Okay, he spent like a year in jail or whatever. I don't care then. He served his time. Fraud, don't get me wrong, don't commit fraud. But, I mean, just look at what we're dealing with. Just look at what we're dealing with. It's like this is so much greater moral magnitude. And Tommy is being used as a cipher for the entire working class. Right? No one wants to be the champion of this cause. And he's the one grassroots activist who comes out of the woodwork and says, look, this is a real problem. This is really hurting my community. I know people who have been subjected to this. Can we please get something done about it? And they've said, no, you're a racist. No, you're disgusting. You're a Little England. You're a racist. You're an oik. We will not have anything to do with you. And one of the few people in British life who's sympathetic to that is Douglas Murray, actually, who is very aware that his place in the class system means he actually gets to speak about these issues in a way that doesn't get him exiled from polite society, right? Tommy didn't have those advantages. And instead of being sensitive to that, Nigel Farage and the rest of the political class have been like, no, we're not having anything to do with those oiks. So, okay, well, again, I'm not asking you to marry him. I'm asking you to accept the legitimacy of the cause so you can then advance justice yourself. But it doesn't seem to be something he wants to do. And this is why I think Elon, who doesn't see the legitimacy of the difference in class because he's American, or in America, he's become an American, he's wondering why the government of Britain won't help these poor people in England. And that's a really good question. Even though they hate them for being lower class, and they do. They absolutely do. That's not good enough. That doesn't justify allowing this to happen. That doesn't justify bringing predators to our country and then allowing them to run rampant across our young girls. I mean, it's just mad. It's mad. And so Elon has been speed running the British experience. All of these things have been drip fed into the public consciousness over the past 25 years, if not longer, to be honest. Elon is learning about in the course of 5 days. And you can see why it's outrageous to him. Because it is outrageous. We have just become numb to it because it's been going on for so long, and the establishment, the powers that be in this country, have got so little interest in actually resolving it and actually bringing justice to the victims. And so it's not a surprise when he looks at our country and says, well, they have a tyrannical government that's allowing one group of people to just rape another group of people and punishing that group for speaking out against them. Like, it's in no way surprising he would come to these conclusions, because if you aren't marinated in Britain's class system and you don't have a subconscious bias and a sneering kind of dismissive attitude towards the suffering of working class girls, well, that's exactly the approach you'd take. This is exactly the conclusion you would come to. And it's not wrong for him to come to this conclusion. In fact, it's wrong for them to have allowed this to happen for 25 goddamn years. No, not even 25. It's longer. It's absolutely longer. But like this phase of it, the mass rape of these girls, has been going on for about 25 years. And I mean, I don't think that anyone in the British political establishment is going to have the stones or the fortitude to do anything about this, right? And so, frankly, I'm very thankful to Elon for bringing this to everyone's attention, for standing, even if it's just giving moral support to the working class of England, to the poor people who are beneath contempt for our own politicians. You know, thank you, Elon, for at least making their lives a living hell for a couple of days. Keir Starmer is going to make a statement about this afternoon or this evening. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to see what's in it. In fact, I'll probably do a video talking about it, because he is complicit. They're all, in fact, complicit, and something needs to be done.